Hello and welcome to Deep Drive, our weekly podcast on all things automotive, powered by Kotak Mahindra Prime. Now, today we've got a very special podcast for you because it's not just me, Sergius Barretto, but I've got with me.
Gavin D'Souza.
Rishaad, Mody.
And I'm Shapur Kotwal.
Yes, this is the team that brought to you all of the coverage from the Auto Expo that was just held in Delhi, and wrapping up the show and giving you the lowdown on all that happened there, analyzing the impact of all the cars. Well, this is what we're going to be discussing today. So, guys, let's just begin with the big guns instead of going, let's say, alphabetically or something like that. I think we can all agree Tata Motors, star of the show.
Definitely one of the stars.
Yeah, one of the stars. Okay, yeah, I mean, because for me, the Sierra, it just took my breath away. It was in that lovely yellow, the Autocar yellow, as I'd like to think.
And the Avinia, such a unique
Yeah, the Vinya X.
so
Yeah.
beautifully executed.
Exactly.
And who would have thought that's a Tata,
True. Although Shapur is not a Tata, that's the other big story coming out, right,
That's
from the
its
expo.
brand, but I mean,
Yep.
it's from
Yeah, exactly, from the family. Yeah, so it's going to be JLR on top, Avinia in the middle, and Tata Motors below. That's the hierarchy of the brands. It's going to retail through a separate network. That's more or less a given, especially that Tata are doing a separate network for their Tata EV products. So, yeah, there's a lot that Tata showed in terms of their future, because I think it's very significant in the sense that they're creating a new brand. It's not every day that a new brand is created. I mean,
Absolutely.
we've seen this with the Japs when they did, Honda and Acura, Lexus and Toyota. Tata are doing their version now. So I think that's significant. One, Sierra bringing back an icon, right? I mean, from the 80s, stuff that we all, I think, grew up seeing.
with, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You, though, didn't think it looked too much like a Sierra, did it?
It looked very modern to me.
Okay.
And the
But I-
Sierra had this one big aquarium glass at the back,
Right.
whereas this has pillars and it's
Yeah,
blacked
yeah,
out and trying
true.
to be made to look like that. So
So,
it's cool, and I love the yellow. And I'm
right.
where does the Sierra fit against the Harrier? Could someone explain to me?
So it should fit below.
Okay.
But that's another interesting actually chat I had with Vivek, who's
Right.
the head of marketing and sales. And he said that, it could even fit above. And I was like, really, don't do that. I mean,
Yeah.
run away with the market, keep it below. Don't get too tempted.
I know, but look, these are all things that are still a little while away. Like you said, they can still decide where to position it.
So,
I was quite happy to see after years of will they, won't they, where is it, how is it, the Harrier EV finally in. Again, I hope production, guys. It seemed like it was production, guys, but I really hope so. But all-wheel drive for the
Right.
first time in a Harrier, because they can do it with the dual motors, and it rolled out onto this stage under its own power without a driver. So that shows that it's got like a summon mode, which is quite a cool feature to have. So very great display of tech, I think, if nothing else, and it looks good. Yeah, it always
That's
has.
true.
Yeah.
What do you think of its chances? Because obviously this is going to be priced higher than even now the regular Harrier. The Harrier and Safari at the
But-
top, all right?
Don't forget the GST advantage that you get.
That is true. That is true. But it would still be, I mean, a little bit over. Do you think it can actually sell in reasonable numbers? I mean, they're not letting on as to what is their volume as always. But what do you think are its chances in terms of taking on, let's say, an MGZS CV?
But I think it'll be an interesting thing because they don't have petrol. So in cities where that's a problem and it's only diesel only is a problem,
good point.
Yeah.
it could stand in for the petrol engine they don't have, and give people a chance to have a Harrier that they could never have before.
And there's a lot of action in this part. No, there's a Mahindra
Yes, true.
in this segment. So, there's not just one person opening up those segments. It's two big, heavy duty players
exactly.
getting into that segment. A lot of talk, a lot of
Right.
discussion, a lot of attention. And yeah, I think
That's true.
we could see some movement there.
Important question before we move on. I hope they're doing a Sierra turbo, even if it's EV. Like Porsche can put turbo in an EV. Why not here?
No,
The
but
yellow has a bit
yeah.
the yellow one
Yeah.
was a turbo.
We need a turbo badge
yeah, it
because that
was.
was the coolest thing back then.
Absolutely.
That's
a
when
good- a
turbo
good
made
point. Yeah.
Turbo.
Yeah. No, that's a good point actually, Rishaad, because the yellow car that they showed now was the ICE version.
Right.
The internal combustion version.
Right.
The front end is different from the EV version.
With a real grill.
Yeah, with the real grill, the grill's on top, the blackout treatment.
Yeah.
It will debut Tata's new 1.5 gasoline direct injection turbocharged
There
petrol.
we go.
So yeah,
Big
you'll
turbo
have
must
the
have a turbo
big
on the
turbo
back.
batch.
Yeah.
you'll have the turbo. So
The turbo was a big change when it came out. I remember testing it actually.
yeah,
And
true.
from the Sierra, which sort of didn't move even with the brake on the throttle. This one did more virtually.
So I think Tata looks like they're going to have a great year ahead in terms of at least products and getting eyeballs.
And they've already got that largest selling car in India now, that tag, after so many years. The Punch with all its variants.
Correct.
And
Dethroning Maruti, I know he's
That's a big deal, yeah.
And by the way, all these cars that we spoke of, the Sierra, both the EV version and the ICE version, the Harrier EV, they're all scheduled for this year. Right, so it's not some long run. It's finally seeing the end.
Awesome.
Next year will be the Avinia, the first model of the Avinia, which was actually the first concept they showcased 2 years ago. The Sportback.
It'll be Jan Feb 26.
Yeah, so that's next year, and then the Avinia X will follow, which is the SUV version. So yeah, there's a lot at Tata Motors, but let's move on and actually let's discuss Mahindra, because another Indian manufacturer there, but in contrast, didn't show anything new. They chose a very different strategy, right? Just two cars which were the hero of the BE6 and the XEV.
I think it's a clear case of, it's almost like a flex on their part, because they've done the launch. They got all the eyeballs. They got so many eyeballs for the launches and the drive with the various events for those two cars, and they know they've already made the impact. So now it's basically just giving the people a chance to come up and see it up close.
And I saw the car for the first time.
Correct.
It was really, I
In
really liked
the
it.
flesh, yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it in the flesh. Of course, it's what you had when you get in.
Right.
And the step is a bit high. But I mean, you get used to it. It's something fresh. It's something with character. It's something that's, that has a story behind it. And that's the opposite of what an EV is normally. So I think it's great.
It's wild. I mean, it was next to TVS. Okay. I don't really go and check every car stall out, but there was a yellow Urus actually parked outside. I don't know if you guys saw it.
No, I
The Mahindra looks wilder than the Urus. The six.
yeah, that's something.
That's like with that whole, that duct underneath the bonnet.
yeah.
Oh, it is a really cool
My
looking car.
question is, when is the dual motor coming?
Yeah, well, we know that they run into some trouble with sourcing a Volkswagen motor, and they're supposed to use Volkswagen motor there, but yeah, so that's another long story. We don't know when actually, but yeah, so that was Mahindra, and apparently, I think none of us stayed back for the public day, but that stall was packed.
It was packed on day 2.
Back then, yeah,
It was packed.
yeah, it was because people just wanted to see it in the flesh. It's a car, I suppose, that they can go up to the showroom and put their money on right now compared to the others. That's it.
Yeah,
They have to wait.
Pradas says we are bringing show cars to the showroom floor,
Right.
So he was there, was having a long chat with him. So he said,
Okay.
what more can we do now? Look, we've done this,
Right. So that's Mahindra. Let's move on and let's bring in Rishaad now for bikes.
Right.
Rishaad, bikes, Suzuki bikes. Let's go with Suzuki. What did they have in store?
Suzuki had two fairly big things and one smaller one. The smaller one was the Gixxer SF250, which is now flex fuel compatible, and more manufacturers are just bringing out these flex fuel bikes up to 85. We can do it.
It's the same with cars. Yeah,
when
they're all
you're
with flex
ready,
fuels.
we are ready.
Yeah.
It's that sort of a thing. They updated the Access, which is their best-selling product and the best-selling 125cc scooter in the market, and they did it in this very subtle fashion. So it looks like a facelift. And then you find out from the engineers, we redid the chassis because we had some issues with exhaust routing, and so we made a new chassis and we revised the engine, and there's new cams and new cranks. So it's a significant update on a very important product. But the bigger deal was the E-Access, which is Suzuki's first electric scooter. And it comes right after Honda's electric scooter, which just came out a month or two ago. They've done a good job. 3 kWh battery, decent boot space, no price yet, but not the most attractive looking thing in terms of, it's not wow, it's just another scooter. But that was the big thing from Suzuki. I think you guys had a lot of excitement at the car side as well.
On Suzuki, yes, because of the Vitara.
The debut of the
Again,
We were sitting waiting for our press conference to begin, and the car press conference was going on full swing on the other end.
True, yeah, they had to wait both the stalls out together. But Vitara, I mean, that was here in India now, big news. Maruti entering electric, doesn't get bigger than that. The product itself was fairly interesting. I mean, Shapur, you saw it at length, right, inside out.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I think they've done a typically Japanese conservative, but job that they know will get them hit the targets. And I think there's
Conservative, you mean like compared to, let's say, the Mahindra, right? That you're talking of the 6E.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Right. For Maruti, I thought it was still quite wild, right?
Conservative by most EV standards, but I think the most out there Maruti has ever been.
Yeah, because they have to differentiate between
Yeah.
the ICE cars.
Are you guys
and
talking
electric-
style or specifications?
Most style, I think,
More
at this
style.
point. Yeah.
Because
Style
generally
and
with,
innovation.
with the bikes, the specifications are very conservative compared to what the
Right.
Indian guys are doing. But I was surprised that this has more range than the Creta EV and supposedly more power than the Creta EV as
I
well,
mean,
right?
That's an interesting thing because that range figure of 500 plus is Suzuki's own internal testing.
Ah.
They haven't put it on any other benchmark,
Yep.
MIDC, WLTP. It's
But
still
they
to
should
come.
be fairly
It
strict.
will come out
regulations.
eventually, but yeah, their own internal
figure
testing.
might be even more than.
Yeah,
Wow.
potentially more.
Yeah.
So yeah, but they've got two battery options, 49 and 61. So there's a choice there. It's quite well equipped. It's got ADAS and it's got 7 airbags as standard. So they're not
The spec is good.
not
It's
being
a,
half
it's a
measured.
good basic electric
Yeah.
car, and that's typically Japanese. That you want to get all your basics right. Tick 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 tick, and they'll give you dependable, like
Right.
typically Maruti performance. I think that's what they're going for. Yes, of course, the style is a bit more aggressive and outlandish. I think today Indian customers expect that.
Yeah, we need it.
So when you launch something that's bland, it can't be a new gen electric. So they have to do a
Right.
bit of headlights and stuff.
So,
I particularly like the interior. I thought it was well designed, but the back seat
Yeah,
and the
same here.
boot was, I suppose. I mean, again, let's do back to back with when we get it out of
Say
the
the
road. but-
Creta.
Yeah, but did you see the location of the spare tire? That was interesting at an angle.
Yeah, underneath.
That was smart.
oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah, really smartly
Okay.
done because normally, and this is Maruti, they've done this huge stout survey before they launched their first electric. They've done the same before they launched the first car. And Bhargav said that, they're going to do it exactly the same way, completely exhaustive. And of course, people must have said, we want a spare,
Right.
So there is a spare. There's no real base, but they found a way, instead of putting it flat, they angled it like that. So
Pretty
a bit of
clever.
smart stuff. And yeah, I like the interior also. But some hard plastics as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
experts, window switches, carrying over.
No, they're not. They're not. They finally moved past those switches. They look a bit more upmarket, a little bit of metallic stuff on it.
Is there auto up down for more than just the driver?
Oh, I didn't get a chance to check that.
This is the one every Mercedes I drive has only for the
Only
driver.
for the driver. True. No, there will be some Maruti
Right.
in there, you can be sure, because we know they're targeting
Yeah.
a price, right?
Logic, the driver's driving, he wants to get his hand off that
Yeah,
as
right.
quickly as possible. The rest can keep their fingers over it.
Sure. I suppose.
So what's the story with the rear headroom? I heard a lot of people talk about that.
So yeah, it's always a challenge to balance that in any EV because of the battery under the floor.
okay.
And so yeah, this seat is positioned quite high, which means you get a great view forward. It's like a good theater seating. The view out is great forward. But what you're left with is a slightly knees-up seating position because the floor is very high. It's a bit of a step up also, and a very conservative headroom thing. I mean, I was okay because I'm not too tall, but I suppose taller passengers might have quite little room between your head and the roofline. Also, the way the windows are designed for that excellent roofline outside, they're very, very slim. So that also sort of makes you feel a
Makes
little
you feel-
hemmed in.
But it's a good-looking car.
actually, yeah, it's a good looking
Yeah.
car. Small price to pay, I think, but
Yeah.
not everyone is actually.
Let's move on now to their sort of old enemies, Hyundai. I mean, they've sparred in certain segments, Santro versus Wagoner. Looks like there's a mega one coming up, right? There's the Creta Electric. That's gonna take on. I mean, what timing? Yeah, what timing? We saw this car before, but I think at the expo they announced the price. So let's discuss the price rather than the car. What do you guys think of the price?
I think it was fair. I think it's fair because
Good price.
some people are saying it's too high, some people are saying it's too low. People are benchmarking it against the fact that this is a EV born on an ICE platform and therefore it should be cheaper. But no, I think it's a fair margin moving from ICE to EV. It's about 18 to 24 lakh, 23.5 lakh
Right.
ex-showroom. I think that's a decent price.
So how much the difference? How much is the cost between the electric and the petrol or typical petrol?
Yeah, well, let's see, the top end Creta, diesel, automatic, some edition, night edition, maybe would 20.5, 21 lakhs ex-showroom. So it's actually not that far off.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And
There's
they've
a-
added stuff to it, right?
Running cost benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, also it's not a straight conversion. They've also added a few different features and things like that. So it's good.
And it's from what you guys have told me, it's a brilliantly executed car, right?
It is. I mean, it drives really
I
well.
remember you guys were searching for the bad bits. That's
Yeah.
always a good sign.
Yeah, true. That's true. That's true. So, but having said that and spoken all about the Creta Electric, I think the big heroes for them, and they chose to display that on the main stages, were the micro mobility solution, right? The three-wheeler and the four-wheeler,
Yeah.
kind of where our worlds also
I
meet
know.
again,
Yeah.
right? Because one had a steering wheel, one had a handlebar, right? The three-wheeler.
And,
I was
and a
impressed.
connection.
And a connection. They are made by
yeah,
TVS.
yeah.
We'll come to TVS.
Rishaad and I were standing next to each other.
Yeah.
We were both saying, "Oh, I think this is yours," and he was saying that.
So that we did the math basically and said there's 2 vehicles on stage with a total of 7 wheels, which means it's closer to a car than a bike. But it was really cool because the TVS senior management was sitting in the
Right.
front row and they announced it very nicely. They just said they said, and they just talked about it and they didn't mention TVS at all, and they said, if you realize we haven't said the word Hyundai anywhere and we haven't put Hyundai on the
Designed
vehicle,
by Vayve.
and that's because it's designed by us and going to be developed by TVS. So that was introduced by
Nicely
Gavin.
introduced.
And it was their top designer who was introducing the car.
Right.
It's
Silently.
Yeah.
I know. I think he's done a fantastic job. Though.
Hmm.
I mean, no one has really looked at a three-wheeler, at a rickshaw, and a completely fresh, clean sheet of paper. I mean, other brands have tried taking on Bajaj, who are like the leaders in the three-wheeler space.
There
But,
must be several dozen new ones every year. The electric ones especially.
but the interesting bit, they're not going to sell this, so you're not going to be able to buy one. It's going to be run by the company as a service,
I think
like
that's
a
how it
app-based.
started initially. But
Right.
yeah.
I mean, that's what they're saying. It's they have a service like this in Korea.
But it is
So-
but it is a significant step up.
Of
It's the
course.
first modern interpretation of a three-wheeler.
That's
And
true.
because it's electric and the really good design of stuff. And I know it has a seat belt. I don't know how safe it is, but
Right.
they're saying it's safer than that, and it's a fair point.
Fair point. Yeah.
It-
Absolutely.
Presumably they'll go by the meter.
I think it's
That's-
fair to say there's still some time away. It's
Yeah.
very early in the project as far
Right,
as I understand, and there's a long way to go. And we're
Yeah.
looking at
2 years
3
probably, yeah, probably 2 years before
this.
they
The,
do
the
that.
rickshaw probably first.
Is there
Three-wheeler
that much
probably
work to
first.
do
That's
for
really
this? So you
I
guys-
think they've just at an early stage right now.
There is
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah.
So they also want to test
I
out the
think what
business model.
Vikas is saying is right. They must
Yeah.
have shown it at an
Yeah.
early stage.
Yeah.
Yes, they're showing an early stage, and they want to test out the business model.
Right.
So the business model also they're going to study that. So, but let's talk about their partners, TVS, who are going to build this. TVS had a stall of their own bikes and
Quite a lot
products
of stuff.
so run us through that.
Yeah,
So,
what was
For
motorbike?
TVS, the sad part I feel a little bad for them. The most attention-grabbing thing from their stall was not supposed to be revealed. It was a closed display of the upcoming 300cc adventure bike that was not for the public, and someone managed to leak a few photos, and once it's on the internet, it's on the internet. So the big talking point from TVS was the RTX 300.
Okay.
It's an adventure bike, road-focused adventure bike, new engine, which they showed a couple of months ago. Everything's new. We weren't supposed to see it. The images are out. It'll be out in a couple of months. But they also had some other interesting stuff.
No, so sorry. You mean it was there at the expo?
It was there before the show started
Okay.
for a few important people to see. And then they were supposed to package it and put it away.
Okay.
But that's always a bad
In,
idea.
in that
To bring a secret car to a motor show, you are asking probably.
in that process, I mean, I was told it was not going to be there.
Okay.
And then at about 8 o'clock in the morning, we see these images coming. I was like, what happened here? And then I found the story out later that it
Right.
sort
That's
of
the
leaked.
excitement of motor shows.
Yeah,
You always
yeah.
have something
Sure.
leaking, like you had, some other cars leaking.
Yeah, but
Right.
no, you're right. That's a bad idea.
Yeah,
That
don't
is
do
a
it.
bad idea. I agree.
Bad ideas. In today's age, everyone has a camera. So
Right.
But there was some really cool modified.
There were. So
What was that?
so they had
like you
they
said,
had a range of modified Ronins because they're really trying to push the Ronin
there
brand.
was some really stunning ones.
Long drag strap
Right.
type bikes.
Yeah.
They were just fun displays. There's nothing
Okay.
going to come off those.
But it just shows how much design talent there is.
There is. Oh,
But you can to see them finesse it to this level.
So with the Ronins, it was done by a lot of them were done by external custom houses.
Sure.
So it was like a collaborative project. But TVS had their own concepts that were very interesting. The main one was the Jupiter CNG,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
we broke the story about a year ago that they're working on it, and now we finally see it.
And it also kind of broke our Instagram.
It
didn't
did, yes.
It's-
People liked watching that
it's
one.
it's in the millions
Yeah.
of views, which was, I think, the highest,
It is, yeah.
highest
It
view
just
thing from
shows
the
how
expo. Yeah.
important running costs are,
Yeah.
to someone who buys
something.
something.
Yeah.
So
I think
that's,
F1 will be a little more niche though. So with the Bajaj CNG bike, people have no expectation of storage space. With the bike, you just don't.
correct.
But with the scooter, you do, and that entire storage space is filled up with the cylinder. On the other hand, there are people who can't ride a geared bike or something that can be shared with the family. Maybe younger people, maybe
Yeah.
Anyone
Broader
in the
seat
family.
also.
Yeah.
I mean, just
easier to
seating,
ride.
yeah.
So 50% lower running cost. There's definite interest there. TVS is analyzing the market and will bring it to market as they see fit, but it's a ready product more or less. They also had two concepts. There was one very futuristic scooter concept that previews the iQube and put pretty cool, like rising seat and lowering seat. So like it's a future concept with adjustable seat height.
So if
This is
you
the
and I
cool
ride the
point.
bike.
Yeah, so we can just
Switch it on a button. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
And the more realistic concept was the RTSX, which is again based on that 300cc engine, but this time a supermoto. And funky looking thing, very tall seat, but cool bike.
This was meant to be shown.
This was meant to be
This is
shown.
It's a 310, the BMW
300.
300.
So that's the confusing thing. BMW TVS engine is a
It's
310.
a 310.
They have made their own brand new 300. And I think they're trying to do their own category, their own future-proof themselves in the 300cc because BMW may move on from that engine in the future.
You mean go to a higher capacity?
There's the 450 coming right
Understood.
now. TVS also had some cycles. They've
Okay.
they've acquired a few international companies over the past couple of years who are into this micro mobility, those
Right.
assisted cycles. But this they made on their own and they were in the back and they were quite cool.
Oh,
They'll be
interesting.
expensive, but
Okay.
they were cool and they'll be going on sale later this year.
You never know. You'll be testing cycles soon.
I know other people in the office who are more into bicycles than me, so we'll pass that on. But that was TVS, yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So while we're on bikes, Rishaad, let's also talk about Hero.
Yes, Hero was the biggest in terms of bike presence at the Auto Expo. They had a great stall. Nothing we haven't seen already, but actual launches. So these vehicles have been displayed at EICMA. They're all brand new products, new platforms, very exciting. But now we have prices. So there was the Zoom 125, very cool looking 125cc scooter. The Zoom 160, which is a new maxi scooter from them, 160cc, very interesting. The new Extreme 250, very competitively priced. KTM levels of performance for 40,000 rupees less. And then there was the X-Pulse 210, which they showed at EICMA a few months ago. Again, with the price, we'll be riding all these bikes soon. So that is exciting. I mean, it's
From there.
nice to see ready stuff from Hero, which is out in the market very soon.
Okay, that's Hero. Let's move back to four wheels. Let's take Kia. Kia were there, obviously, with all of their products. They also showcased the Syros. I know there's a particular way to pronounce that, but I think the facelift in EV6, right, was
Yeah.
the big thing to see. Who covered that one?
It was me.
Right.
And yeah, it was quite different, and I was pretty surprised that they took the character of the nose and they flipped it around. One of them has V-shaped lights, and they made it into something that's the opposite. So typical Kia, very bold with the design choices, and they changed the front completely. There was an exciting bar at the back, which
Right.
I think they haven't touched, which could have been a bit different. But the interior is also nice, and a lot of upgrades to the interior. A lot of that shiny back plastic is gone. They've got some nice texture in. You get a sort of thumbprint aid there where you could put your finger there and you can, it takes all your settings and you can go from mode to mode. So interesting stuff.
Interesting update.
Yeah. I think it was the one AV that really changed things in India. It was a really big wow factor about it. And I think this one, they've done enough to keep it current and
That's nice. The other thing at which caught my eye and I went to see was the high limousine, the Carnival high limousine. So that was quite a surprise because they have a high limousine, right? You're smiling.
I'm smiling because
Because of the
ironically, it's something that didn't catch my eye. It did catch a lot of people's eye
actually even I walked past it.
because it's there and you don't realize what it is. It does seem like a
It
carnival
looked like a roof box.
with a roof box on top, but it's so much more than that. Let us show you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a roof box. You're right. In fact, I think when I did the video, you'll probably see me saying, and as you can see and then I stopped myself from saying a roof box because it looks like a roof box molded onto the top. But it's
Exactly.
actually a high roof version.
Right.
So from
Can
inside,
you stand it?
you could. I don't think I should.
Rishaad can't.
But you know what? I mean, we keep doing this.
I'm curious, what do they pitch it for? You're not supposed to stand in a vehicle when it's moving.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
why
exactly.
do
No,
we have it?
Easy to get in and out. and
No, it's actually more so they're doing a whole
space,
luxury version.
Space,
Okay.
interior space.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're doing a whole luxury version. So there's a large television screen up there, right? There's ambient lighting all around, and instead of 4 fingers, 5 fingers of headroom, you have like an arm's length of headroom.
So
Yeah, it
slightly
just feels-
different from the Omni High Roof.
Yeah, I mean
Small-
technically, because
small
you've got-
upgrade,
yeah.
yeah.
So there we go.
But that brings me to a very interesting point. I don't know whether they'll launch this because India doesn't seem to like high roofs. The Omni high roof, the Versa, which was a high roof, but we know the Eco succeeded, which was the flat roof.
That's right.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know whether that's a
Doesn't
smart
look
move.
very.
Yeah, they don't look very.
What is the feedback they got? Will they discuss it with you?
No, not yet. Yeah, we were just there for the first day, but I don't know whether they will. Also, interestingly, the high roof on the Carnival does exist in Korea on the pre-facelifted model.
Okay.
It was never done for the facelifted model, which you got in India. So this is a sort of global first in a way. And I believe this was done in India. They built this model here. You know, so that's quite interesting that they sort of custom built this here. So you could also tell because the seats were the regular seats,
Right.
whereas the high roof old Carnival had completely different seats.
Different
Yeah,
setup,
like
yeah,
Ottoman, some
Very,
leg
very
massagers,
electric everything.
place to hang your clothes at the back. I mean, seriously, there's
Yeah,
even
there's a coat hanger.
there's a coat
in the
hanger.
back.
You're saying as if it's a clothesline.
It's like a washing machine outside.
Yeah,
No, but the idea I think
But
is
it's actually a bar there.
But actually, I did see a whole host of these really amazing cars with some insane seats at the DC2 stall. I mean, DC is back as DC2. And of course, he had a crazy looking off-road
so
on
it's
set.
rebranded to DC2, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
So
interesting.
that's the second innings, as he says. And
That's why the car had two fenders. Sorry, I'm being mean, but I didn't like those two fenders. It was just like there's one
but
fender.
he's
there was
always
another one.
looking to split opinion, get
Wild,
behind
extravagant, yeah, that's-
just like BMW.
That's true. That's true. That is true. So yeah, that was Kia. I think let's move on to, since we're talking about high roofs and vans. Let's move on to MG.
Oh, yeah.
You saw the M9.
The M9. So
M9, yeah.
interestingly, the M9 has been in India at the Auto Expo 2023. It was called the MIFA 9 back then. They rebranded it M9 for India. But now we know it's got real intent because it's going to be one of the first or second product from the MG Select Premium sub-brand. It's going to have only their most high-end stuff, including the Cyberster, which was also there. I really like that. But back to the M9, and it really is proper luxury. I mean, they're not targeting your Innovas, or I don't think even the Carnival. I think they're aiming for beyond the Carnival into Toyota Wellfire territory and just for that.
But does the product deliver that?
Oh, just for that second row seat, absolutely. I mean, they're fully electric, heated, cooled, massaging, great comfort, and full recline deck too.
And it's big,
Horizontal
right?
level.
It's huge.
It's massive. I think it's
Yeah.
about 5.2 meters long.
And,
like,
and wide. It looked like
It
a
looks-
locomotive, coming
it
down.
looked like a block of flats. Honestly, when you stand near the rear tailgate, it's like you're standing next to a building wall. It's upright, it's wide, and it's tall. And mostly you look up at the roofs of SUVs, but this is a van, and the seating for me at least was way. But I mean, it only speaks to the amount of space that's on offer inside, which is
I think
just next level.
These, I think you wrote about it, right? These vans are getting more currency.
Yes.
Especially the luxury
The
vans.
luxury vans. I
People
wrote
are
about
paying
that.
absurd prices for vampires and
because
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
it's a
nicest
simple
cars.
thing.
True.
When you look past the form factor of a sedan or an SUV,
Yeah.
really, if you're just looking for the comfort,
Pure
these
comfort.
offer it better. I mean, there's more space inside. It's as simple
You
as
can
that.
do more with it. Yeah,
You
exactly.
can do more with
I mean,
it.
only
These-
downside, like on the Wellfires are right. You've got to contend with that a little bit.
I suppose, but
How knows? We don't know how good this is. But
we don't know how good this is. I mean, there's a good sign that it has 19-inch wheels, but it has serious sidewalls, so hopefully that points to good comfort. But interesting thing, it has a sort of niche following, I think, among celebrities. All these vans do with their sliding power doors.
Powder,
Because it allows them to wave at the paparazzi and their fans while they drive along. So they'll be seated in their seatbelt and the doors open and the car moves along.
that's a pan we should take.
We
True.
should. I think we should.
No, I mean, it's also this great dramatic entrance you can do, right? You sit back, have literally the doors
But
slide
like
open.
one time, sliding doors were terrible, and everyone says,
No, power sliding doors. Power sliding
Yeah,
doors.
Everything's
I-
better
that's the-
powered. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the magic thing, where it just
Yeah.
goes back, on its own, and you step out.
But the interesting thing is, I mean, the contention here is, of course, it's electric. It's got a big battery, 90 kilowatt hours, but their rated range is only about 430, which
because
means
it's heavy.
it's heavy. It's a big, heavy car.
It's big,
Uh,
it's huge.
Although MG says, yes, it's a select product, it's going to be very premium, but they're promising super competitive pricing. What that means and benchmarked against who,
Yeah.
we'll have to see.
Against Wellfire, did they say?
They didn't say, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Speaking of big electrics, there was another big electric surprise for us at BMW. Wasn't it? I mean, no one saw that the long wheelbase
Exactly, because
iX1.
they said very
Come in.
clearly that they're going to look at their first long wheelbase, and it wasn't the X5, it wasn't the X3, and that sort of left the X1. But none of us saw Visor do it, and they just slipped it in.
I think, but also, so they slipped it in. We should also talk about the pricing, because I think that really
Yeah.
is now the impact
So
it
it's,
will make
it's
in the
almost
market.
that it's
Right?
at 110 mm more
Yeah.
leg room, which when you sit in the back, you can feel immediately, see, wow, This is a lot of space. 49 lakhs. That's the price. That's again because
Cheaper than the older CBU was. This is made here, that's why.
I mean,
Exactly,
it's cheaper than the IC, which is also made
And
here.
that's again the GST.
That's true.
And the benefit of that, of having an electric finally, and as you go, can get an on-road price, so that it'll be even cheaper.
Right.
So a lot of people will be attracted. The seat is a bit low, but you got this huge roof on top, and this has a fair amount of features. So I think there's already a lot of interest. I've already been getting calls from friends, and dealers are already playing tricks on them. Offer first 100 cars, so book fast. So it seems like they've captured the imagination of the.
Right. I think it's a great formula because, I mean, like you said, it's cheaper than the ICE version too. You're getting more room as well.
Exactly, you're getting as much room
Yeah.
as an X3. The same, not the same comfort because your seat is a bit
Correct.
low.
I think it's BMW's way of just asserting their dominance at this end of the market. While I think Mercedes is doing it at the top end. They did it with the 3 Series and it's done so well for them. And now on a similar vein, the X1,
And the one.
doing the long wheelbase
Long
there.
wheelbase.
I mean, it works for them, I suppose.
Yeah, and
in shape.
BMW is always the one that's opening out the new niches. So traditionally, that's been their way of finding volume use.
Exactly.
So they continue to do that even in India. So, I mean,
Right. So while we're on BMW bikes,
Same theme actually. Amazing pricing.
Okay.
2 bikes. The 1300 GS Adventure, which is just this enormous world-crossing thing with a 30-liter fuel tank, and it looks massively intimidating. But I mean, I've ridden the regular GS, and these things are just sweethearts when you hop on them and ride.
that's for us non-bike people. You mean it's
You
easy
get
to
along
ride?
with it. It's
Okay.
tall. So
tall.
it's tall, and you lift that
Okay.
heavy thing off the stand, and you just gotta tell yourself it'll be all good.
Okay.
You carry on.
No, so I love the V-Strom. That's my
Yes,
favorite to
yes.
ride. So you mean it's
in
that
a way
easy?
it is because they've got the special steering setup in the front with completely different suspension. The steering is really light, so you think it's going to be this horribly heavy thing to move around, but it's not.
Okay.
But there was also the S1000RR, which is just mega. It's updated now, bigger wings. Everything's just getting bigger and bigger wings. Now you can put your entire hand through it's a U-shaped wing that connects. You can stick a hand through it right now, because what they homologate for the street bike gets to be used in WSPK. And
Oh, okay.
you can't really go beyond that, right? So
that's such a good thing.
Yeah.
Because, just like in the old days, Bosch, Ferrari, they all got stuff into their production tasks because of racing. And it's happening again on the bike side.
And it's I mean, there's some pictures the WSPK guys cornering, and it looks like the wing is about to scrape the ground right now. They're going to to that level. Yeah, it's getting really quite. But the bike is, I'm very fond of it. Some people find the S1000 too easy to ride, but very few people can use a 200 horsepower motorcycle well. It makes you feel like a hero, and I think that's great. And
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Why not?
Absolutely.
Right? You feel good about what you're doing.
The more power and performance you have, you want trendier handling.
Yeah.
You don't want that, so that you can enjoy it. You can use more of that performance.
Sure. And the price is really good. It's like many lakhs less than the equivalent Ducati. So
How do they win that?
good job.
How
Good
do
job.
they win that?
They've always done this. Yeah, I think bikes are not very important business-wise as the cars. The cars are huge business. So I thank the cars for sort of helping the bike business out. I mean, I assume that's what it is here.
Right.
But the BMW bike pricing is really very good across the range on the bigger bikes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the bigger bikes.
On the bigger
Yes,
bikes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's BMW.
Oh, sorry. They had the 450 concept.
Okay.
Which is
oh,
going to be
yeah.
made in India. Yes,
Right,
it's not new to me.
Is
because
it
I saw it in
Is it the new feature?
I suspect it will eventually end up being the new thing. And they're being very cagey. They're not sharing much information.
So
but
I have to ask you then
Yeah.
first, because no one else has confirmed or denied this, whatever. Is that engine made by TVS?
I think so.
Okay.
They're not confirming it. They're not denying it. But there's an oil filter sticking off it that says "Made in India." I mean,
Okay.
it's written there. I'm quite sure it is off.
So like the 310, this engine's also.
It is off the TVS platform.
Right.
They're not confirming anything.
Okay.
But as far as I understand from the few people who've been willing to share a few things with me, sometime later this year, no indication on pricing. But BMW doesn't have a big dealer network, and they want to stay premium. So they will price it premium. I don't
Okay,
think it's going to
that's
be less than 5 lakhs. But it's a BMW. It's a great looking adventure bike, twin cylinder motorcycle, and it will be worth waiting for.
Awesome. Okay, so while we're talking Germans, let's move to Porsche.
Right.
Because they were there with actually some really obviously Porsche exciting medal, but the Macan electric, right? And I think that it's changing things around for the Macan. We know the Macan was supposed to always go to all electric. Now there's some talk of it being the petrol as well. What do you think of the Macan's sort of potential in India? Because remember, it's a sort of like a main seller for Porsche.
Yeah.
Last year,
Actually, it's the one that helped save Porsche, and people don't realize that this compact, the little bit compact SUV compared to a Cayenne would actually do the numbers, with the 4-cylinder engine.
Right.
And that's what, what is the number this year? 1,000 cars?
Yes, this is the first
was
time.
Porsche, the overall, yes.
That was
Porsche
something,
India.
yes.
Porsche India crossed 1,000 cars for the first time. I remember last year they sold 914 cars, and I said, "Oh, it's just 3. Maybe they should have cancelled those last 3 orders. Just to end on 911."
911.
But no. This year they crossed 1,000. Over 1,000.
Yeah, that's a big deal for a company that is, first of all, at the high end and all CBUs.
all CBUs.
All CBUs, no nuclear assembly.
Sport-
And of course, it
all
makes
consumer-
all of us smile because more powerful this.
Yeah. Of course, 70% of it apparently, so like 700, you could say, were the SUVs.
Sure.
But still 30% being sports cars is also
That's not bad, eh?
It's not bad at all. Yeah.
Not a bad number, right?
Yeah, that's sports cars.
Yeah, exactly from the sports car range. Speaking of the sports cars, the GT3
Yeah.
was there, right?
Yeah,
What a
yeah,
good
yeah.
looking thing that car is. My God.
I know. I
You
mean,
don't think the wing is too big?
It's just ridiculously good looking by being ridiculous with all these wings and
I think he likes
Yeah.
wings, going from this BMW description as well.
It was opposite the BMW stand, so I was just recovering from the S1000R and then I saw the GT3.
I mean, I know the focus is all on the electric, so it's the Macan and the Taycan, but come on, you go to that stall and you're just gonna focus on the GT3.
I would never
That's-
want to drive it on the road.
Oh, I
but
have, and
my God,
it's you have to have. I said you have to have the reflexes of a racing driver to drive it on the road because you're constantly avoiding stuff. You don't wanna bottom the.
I'm sure it'll
suspension.
steer fast enough though.
So on a good road,
Must be
Oh,
mega.
Or on a track.
yeah,
Oh my god! Oh my god!
good
What a thing!
My favorite cars by far.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Over
I think
anyone
any,
else,
any,
over
any,
anyone else.
yeah,
I
exactly.
think we can all
any
attest
auto
to that, yeah.
enthusiast. So that was Porsche. Let's talk of the same group company, Skoda. Because Skoda, it was really interesting because they showed the new Kodiaq, which will come to India. But I think the big news coming out of there was that they're getting back into diesel, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and you did that story as well.
Yeah, it was. I was a little bit curious. I said, "Why is that looking different from the back?" And I just squatted down, and then I went and asked the boss. He said, "Yes, that's a diesel." I said, "What? Why bring it here and not speak about it?" They said, "No, they deleted it from the release last minute." So
Also, it wasn't in the release.
no, it wasn't in the
Okay.
release, and we just happened to notice it. So of course, I went and I opened the fuel cap, and there was that blue thing. Even if it's not written diesel, you know that's a diesel for sure.
Right.
And for them to bring it here, and it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be a very important thing in their strategy because not only will it help them take care of CO2 and Cafe 3 and all these things, it'll also expand their range of cars. Look at the number of diesels, Hyundai, and Kia, Tata, Mahindra. They're selling a lot of cars, and of course, for the more expensive cars as well, Superb and other brands from Volkswagen to get back diesel. Audi.
Right.
That would-
No, I
that would
couldn't
be amazing.
agree. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Shapur, because everyone says that Skoda sort of was built on the Octavia,
Exactly.
but the Octavia diesel.
Exactly.
Honestly, the Octavia diesel, that engine back then, the pump deuce, the unit injector.
1.9.
Yeah, it just
1.9
wowed
noise.
everyone with the performance and the efficiency, and I think that really built
Exact-
the brand for them.
For a
Diesel,
car of that size, I remember to give 20 kpl.
right?
That was
You still have no, you don't have the diesel.
and
You-
petrol.
You're the petrol, right? So yeah, I mean, so I think yes, it's a significant move getting back to diesel for Skoda because Skoda was so sort of, Skoda and diesel intrinsic.
ingrained
Yeah.
in their DNA.
Yeah,
sort of.
exactly.
And it'll expand their volumes. And once it comes into the India-made cars, wow, that's going to be a big number boost for them straight away. And they had this huge problem with CO2, how to get over it, hybrid, that's gone with this.
Right.
And then they take their time with the electrics, which they spoke about also. I think
Yes.
you were there.
Yeah, exactly.
So they've got a nice route chopped out, and they're moving to a new platform, which is a larger platform, and this will help take the fight to things like the Creta, because it's called the O37 platform, and this MQB is going to be bigger and it'll have more cars on it. So I think Skoda is in a good place finally after a lot of.
Yeah, absolutely. No, in fact, I was speaking to Jan, the group head, and he said 2024 was all about getting Skoda the ball rolling, and I think they've got the ball rolling. We have the Kailak now; they've entered the compact SUV segment. The Octavia RS is coming back. Though as a CBU, so I don't know how much of an impact that would have.
No, that's a brand builder for the company.
It'll still sell out.
It is.
No, that is exactly right. Because if you remember the last one also,
Small quantities.
small quantities, absurdly priced,
Yeah.
it still just went immediately.
No,
So
it's-
I think there's a market for that.
People
yeah.
love it. It's a hero car.
Right.
How many brands have a hero car that they can just pull off a shelf and put
Right.
on the showroom floor and sell 50 and everyone says Skoda, 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 much more than any advertisement.
That-
So I think it's important for the RS to come back. You've had every single RS, I think, apart from one.
From this one, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now it's finally
So now it's finally coming back.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was Skoda. I think interesting showing there as well,
Yeah.
showing of intent. Let's move on. We've got a lot of ground to cover, so I'm going to look at my list here. Let's do bikes. Back again, Honda. What did Honda have?
I don't think Honda cars was there this time, but
No,
there
we
was
didn't
Honda
have, we
bikes
didn't have
and
the cars.
nothing particularly new to see, but they displayed their electric scooters a couple of months ago in Bangalore, and now they have a price, and it's not a great price.
Okay.
There's two scooters. Both of them are sort of flawed products because the basic scooter has very basic specifications. The top
Right.
speed is too low, the battery is too small. So the hope was that the price would be really low to match that, but it's about 90,000, which is okay, but you can get much more rounded products from TVS and others and Bajaj and Hero at not a lot more money.
Ather,
Ather is expensive.
is expensive.
Ather is
Okay.
expensive, especially when you add on the things you want to add on to it. The
Okay.
various packs. The other scooter is the one with removable batteries, which is great, but the problem with that is the removable batteries occupy the boot space, so there is no boot space, and you cannot charge it at home. So you must go to a
so
swapping
it's
station.
only removable.
You must go to a swapping. I
Oh,
think
that's
that's
a
a
big
miss
miss.
on Honda's part.
That's
The
all.
hope was that because you are buying into a subscription program, you don't pay for the batteries. So the hope was that it would be cheap. But again, not so much. 1.2 to 1.4 or something. If I'm not
Without the
I mean,
payment
the
for the
batteries
battery.
are in there, but you will have to
Is it
purchase
just
a
a case of them
subscription.
being overconfident or just
I
not getting their
It's
their
Honda
costs
doing
right?
a premium Honda, but do premium, but I think the products are the right mix in the first step. There will be more coming, and I'm sure they'll correct things and figure it out as they go along. But it's not that massive splash. Like for years, people are saying when Honda enters the EV space, then it's just going to shake everything up. They're like the Maruti of bikes.
In a way, yeah.
It didn't really happen with this first wave of EVs. I could be wrong, but from what I'm seeing of price and product, I don't think so. I think we'll need to wait to see more from them. And
Okay,
there'll need to be some
very
aggressive push from them.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's move on to Mercedes. Cars back again. Mercedes, Gavin, you were there.
Yeah, so interestingly, Mercedes again didn't have anything that we haven't truly seen before. There's variants of existing stuff. I think the star of the show was their CLA concept, which we've seen in Europe a little while
Right.
ago. But I mean, it's going to be a crowd puller for sure. I mean, it looks fantastic.
For a show car, yes.
The production version is still a few years away, so don't get super excited. But it is a show of what future Mercs will look like, especially that tri-arrow star pattern in the headlamps. That's a lot of them are going to have that going forward. There was a launch. It was the EQS Maybach Night Edition. So that's Merc's own sort of Black Series, not the AMG Black Series, but the sort of darker
The dark
ones with
treatments.
a bit more attitude. And so they launched the Maybach version. There's going to be a GLS. The GLS also has been launched as well on their website, and an S-Class, all Maybach Black Series. They look very cool. So that was new. And yeah, they had some.
And the
nice-
electric G that made the most noise because of the
Oh God, all day long.
360.
That car took a beating. I mean, it was just running and
That's what
running and
every tires
running.
they
It was-
consume, right?
Yeah.
I think we should get a number for that.
Yeah, it was done on sand and all, but yes, you're
But
right.
it's very impressive that it was able to do it all. for a long
Yes,
time.
yeah.
But you hear the tires
not
speeding.
Yeah,
because
you're right.
the sand was
I guess
working
how
it's
much,
pulling off the
yeah.
sand.
Yeah, the sand was being pushed away, right? So they did have some sort
Yeah.
of gravelly kind of sand.
I was impressed by that because
The
every
G-turn.
time you went out of the halls, you would hear the Merc running in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, the G-turn is
it's cool.
impressive.
Yeah.
It is impressive for sure. Would be handy when you come to a dead end, I suppose.
Yes.
So turn around and go back. But okay, let's move on to VinFast. We had a new brand entering India. It's not every day or every month or every year that you have a new brand. So significant there. Also from a different country. We've never had a car from Vietnam.
Yeah.
So
So they're going to be launching somewhere before the festive season. That's
This
what they
year?
said. And the first two cars would be two crossovers, and the VF6 and VF7.
But more than anything else, isn't it just really cool to see that here's a company, I mean, while we wait for Tesla to decide when and where and how will he want a policy, Evo, here we have a company that's broken ground, a new factory, production's going to start. They're going to launch this year. It's like we're ready to go.
Yeah, before the festive season. That's what they said.
that's
There we go.
That's
Yeah.
true. And the cars are coming. They've got scooters or bikes as well, motorbikes as well? No.
A range of scooters.
Okay.
And I think there was talk of the scooters coming first, but now I think that's changed to the cars. And the cars were definitely the star at their press conference. I mean, it was a huge stall. The scooters were parked in one corner.
Nice of them to show
Yeah.
your own range.
Yeah.
Yes, I used to walk around the stall, the whole range.
Yeah.
It's a pickup concept.
Yeah, pickup was pretty cool.
I like the VF3 because I think that has actually good potential. Like the Comet, it's a small little two-door four-seater, but large tires.
But they're saying it's not,
So it's not coming.
not suitable for market.
Exactly, yeah. So
And
That's a shame.
yeah, that's a shit.
So I asked him what about the larger VF4, and he told me something very interesting. In Vietnamese, 4 is a bad number.
Oh, okay.
It means death, so there's no VF4. There's only a VF34.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I saw the 34. I was wondering, why is that odd number?
So that's the one that's been testing. That's been out testing in the last year, and that could be one of the the more localized cars which they sell here at the competitive price.
They're going to have to get the quality right. We have to speak about that because we haven't seen or experienced the cars that same.
But the cars we saw, just the fit finish on the
Looked good.
outside was really good.
Right. But a lot of the international players has panned them a lot, for their quality after driving them. So I believe it's also been fixed subsequently. So yeah, we're going to
I hear they're making progress at a very rapid rate. So from the time those early reviews came out to now, there's already been a sea change, allegedly. We'll
Sounds
see
very
when we drive
Tesla.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. How it was? I mean, it's Tata. You figure things out as you go along.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move to bikes. Yamaha. I think we haven't spoken of
Big
Yamaha.
stall. No launches as such. Most production ready bike is the FZ, which is a mainstay. It's now got a micro hybrid. No big deal. It's the same technology on the scooters now come there. No price yet. But Yamaha has a massive fan following and continuously disappoints its fan following with the hope of big bikes coming in and them getting delayed or not coming in. And there's lots of talk that Tenere 700 is coming or it's not coming. It's coming, and the latest step is that it's not coming.
Oh, okay.
It was on display there. They also displayed a small dual sport with the FZ250 engine, sold in Brazil. Could come here, but from what I understand, they're just evaluating feedback.
Okay.
There were a couple of bikes that will come here. The MT-09, which I rode in Japan a few months ago, phenomenal bike. It's going to launch. It'll be expensive, CBO, more than the Trans 3 Triple. They're also bringing the R7 sports bike, which again, CBU will be expensive, but will be a good bike and will have its takers. They had the NMAX 155 scooter, which they also showed last year. It's based on the Aerox, and I think they should really bring it here because it's a lot more comfortable than the Aerox. And the Aerox, as fun and cool looking as it is, it's not a very comfortable thing. That was Yamaha. It was 40 years of Yamaha in India.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
If I can to show,
yeah.
the RD.
I knew you'd love that one. So they had this lovely old RX there.
I mean, they've not forgotten what made them such heroes.
It was good to see that.
So yeah,
It was good to see that.
if it's right there, they should be getting
Absolutely.
similar bikes, right?
Absolutely. There's talk of them reviving the RX name, and that's dicey. You're going to be really careful with what you do there.
Rishaad will be an electric car.
That's really upset a few people. So that was Yamaha.
Okay.
Big stall, lots of things to see, and hopefully some of those things will come.
Okay, so moving on to another Japanese manufacturer, Toyota, and I think our last from at least what we can discuss, the bigger guys there. Toyota, well, yeah, they had their regular stuff there, but there was one big showing, but they showed in a very small way because they showed the electric urban cruiser, right?
That's right. So for those of you who are not in the know, the urban cruiser EV is Toyota's sister car to the e-Vitara from Maruti. Now, Maruti made a big, it was their entire display, wasn't it?
Exactly.
The e-Vitara. And for Toyota to show the same car, but
Just parked there.
parked in the corner and labeled a concept. They blacked out the window so you couldn't see the inside. It was, I mean, we've seen globally the production car.
Exactly.
And it was that car, but they called it a concept maybe to just put the limelight on the Maruti.
I think it was that.
It
You're right.
must have been
It's
that.
more, they're close partners. You don't want to step on the toes of your
It's typically
partner.
Toyota to do something that you don't expect, something like this.
Right. I guess Suzuki also probably one of the conditions is saying, hey, we are going first. We are going to take all the limelight. If you want to show it, but
It's our car.
Yeah, exactly.
But
So
moving from something you don't expect to something we did expect and didn't see actually
yes.
was the Prado.
Prado.
Where I really was looking forward to seeing the
Where
Prado.
did it go?
Yeah, but it wasn't there. We had our fingers crossed.
Yeah, I've asked Toyota about it. That I clipped still. I've shot of a mail as well as to what happened to the Prado because it was genuinely supposed to be there. And the only sort of response I got from is, we're just evaluating. So,
Of course, that's the answer for anything. You want.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we are evaluating.
when you don't want to.
But I mean, they do it well, right? They evaluate well. They take their time. They're sleepy. They're slow. They're in their own world, and then they go and make a massive profit and just go ahead of everybody. which is what they've done right now,
That's
And I think they are another company that's on the path to growth. They've got some really nifty stuff coming up. And let's see, they have a huge plan.
Right.
It wasn't like 5 years ago where there was one Innova, one Fortuner.
right. Okay, and another brand, guys, that had a sort of quiet showing was actually Lexus. They had, two concepts there, but older concepts. They had the RX, the LM van, so all of that was there. Nothing maybe major. Another brand, so I'll move on to BYD. BYD had something significant in the sense that they opened bookings for the Sea Lion 7, and you saw that car, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a quick look at it. I mean, the Sea Lion 7 really is the logical next step after the very, very impressive Seal sedan. It's bigger, it's an SUV. They also have a hybrid version, but that don't think is coming to India.
The 6.
The 6, the Sea Lion 6. But the 7 was, everything we liked about the Seal, but in SUV form, a little bit more of everything. So, but yet somehow, I think more impressive than even that car, although that really is the one for India, was what they had on display. Definitely not
Which
coming
was?
to India, I don't think it was. Which was their sort of more upmarket luxury brand called Yang Wang. And it was called the Yang Wang U8. And it's basically a PHEV off-roader, super luxurious with over 1,200 horsepower, something like that.
4 motors and 1 engine.
4 motors and 1 engine. It floats on water. It can do a tank turn in place. There's nothing it can't do.
And the inside's like a Bentley. Don't forget that.
Yes, it is ultra luxurious. And that, I mean, yes, the Sea Lion was very cool. But that
a
was the
massive thing.
showstopper. Yeah, it's huge.
And you walk into the hall and this thing is there waiting.
It's pretty imposing that they've done a decent job of design. We're not looking at the Chinese cars and say, hey, that's the copy or that's terrible. They're actually doing
Although I think the Yang Wang, the SUV, people still see a lot of the Land Rovers in it, right? Range Rovers. So I don't know,
Yeah,
but
that's right, actually.
yeah.
On the sides, maybe.
yeah, but
But
anyway,
not enough idea.
that is I think maybe nitpicking for something that has everything in it.
Yeah,
And can float on water.
and can float on
It
water.
has got its own identity.
Yeah,
It's not.
Although that float on water is, as the company says, it's not as a feature to do. It's
Yeah,
in
it's
case you get
in
stuck
case.
in a flood, right? So,
Which you can get stuck here.
yeah, in Bombay, I mean, I think it makes great sense for India. That
I think we
car.
need to wait for the flood and then test it.
That and then they
Whenever the city floods, that's what we call the Yang Wang to test.
we need the SUV Yang Wang U8 that can go through floods and the U9, which is the supercar that can jump over
That can-
potholes.
that can jump over bottles. Yeah, I think that's sorted things out for India. Right, so I think that kind of wraps up the big guys there. We had, of course, few other brands. Isuzu had an electric D-Max, and well, they didn't say or do much with it. It was just there. We had a startup, Vayve Mobility.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, showing what they're claiming India's first solar-powered car. I mean, it's a stretch.
They do say that it's only 10%.
Yeah,
What, 10
10
kilometers?
kilometers, which I think is still a stretch because solar panel to charge a battery. you
What's
have
the
to
range
get-
of the battery?
So again, they've got like 3 different battery packs, and you can strap on that panel onto 2 of them. I think I'm really not sure right now. But I met the CEO and I asked him. I said, even getting 10 kilometers out of a small car purely on solar seems like a stretch to me. And he said, yes, it would be a stretch, but this car weighs only 500 kilos.
Yes,
It's
that
a
we
way.
are thick.
So
It's a way.
I
so
think
could be.
should we be calling it a car?
Yeah, I think it's four wheels.
It is what, what's the term for it?
Quadricycle.
Quadricycle.
Yeah, it's a
quadricycle.
quadricycle. It'll
Yeah.
launch under the
Yeah.
quadricycle
Yeah.
norms.
It's a 3-seater.
Yeah.
3-seater. That's interesting.
1
like
plus
a
2.
Yeah,
One
it's
plus
McLaren.
2, like a McLaren.
Like a
McLaren all the
it's
way.
basically a McLaren.
Yeah, it's basically a McLaren. Yeah,
I think it was pretty cool.
3-seater, lightweight.
But they had prices.
They had prices, yes, and
2.9 something. Yeah.
yes, and going up to about 5, I think, lakh.
SOS.
So yeah, so it's so they had pricing, and which is why everyone was really interested, saying, "Oh wow, these are prices."
But it's still
This
some
is-
time away, right?
It's still some time away, about a year and a half to 2 maybe even. But yeah, so that those were, I think, the big guys.
Everyone, if you had to pick one vehicle.
Okay, yeah, let's wrap up with that.
Just one pick. Body style agnostic, vehicle type agnostic. One pick from
Star
them.
of the show. For me, it was a Sierra. Yeah. I really want a Sierra. I don't have a requirement for buying a car right now, another car. But I think if it launches, I'll probably end up buying one. I just loved it.
Yeah.
Harks back to the old name. looks fantastic, doesn't have the glass.
Yeah.
That's because of safety regs
Yeah.
apparently, but they blacked out the thing, so I think that's good enough for me.
And an internal roll cage would have been cool. A glass of the answer.
I like
So yeah, the Sierra star of the show for me. Shapur,
Avinia X.
Avinia X.
Yeah.
Okay.
Design wise, I just love the rear of the car.
The boat
Yeah,
tail
the yacht
shape. Yeah.
yacht kind of thing, and to carry it off with such panache,
Right.
Tata. This is not a JLI product. This is Tata
Right.
derived brand.
Right.
Avinia. For
Avinia.
them to reach that new level, I think that's
Right.
hats off to them.
Hats off to them.
That was
Great.
my star for the show for sure.
Okay. Bikes.
Oof, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with one of the heroes and just the Zoom 160. It just is a good looking thing. And
Okay.
It's got lots of cool stuff in it. Personally, though, the S1000, I've had such a good time riding it at the DIC and I want to ride it again.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
He's going to
Fair
repeat.
enough.
If that's on repeat, yes.
I'm manifesting another ride at the BIC on that motorcycle.
Yes.
And I'm going to be really, really boring. And we didn't even talk about it when we covered the stall. MG stall, apart from the cars with
We
him,
missed that. I know what you're
No,
talking
no, no.
about.
It's
Yes.
not. It's not even that.
Okay.
The Bajesta was an interesting thing because they're saying it's not a Gloucester, but come on, we know it is a heavily modified Gloucester, but that's not even the one. They showed a lot of cars that were like just to test the waters and see, and they're going big on this NEV, new energy vehicle. So that includes plug-in hybrids, and they had one called the EHS,
Okay.
which I think has a very good
Balance.
potential for our market because it has a turbo engine and it has a nice big battery, the 26 kilowatt hour battery. So it'll do 100 kilometers of EV range. And with the engine and that combined, it has 300 horsepower. So, and it's a crossover. Yeah. So that sounds a little bit boring. I'm sorry. But just as a potential product, I found it really cool. And
Great market potential.
I,
Yeah.
I hope they find a way to make it
Yeah,
happen.
and
Right.
because-
That's the thing. In China, we're seeing a huge wave of hybrids coming
Hybrids
back.
coming back. Yeah.
So this is part of that.
so
Just
I
one of
wanna-
the most successful products.
Yeah. Though, sorry. I want to go back because we did forget to speak about it. The
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Majesta.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of heat about it, saying that it's not a Gloucester, and yeah, but fair enough, and to give them also fair credit. A lot of brands do it, right?
Yes.
Ertiga, XL6, different names. And that's because of different nose, different interiors, and
They claim to be making a new segment above the Gloucester and the Fortuner. It's called D Plus, which is going to be more expensive, but also far more luxurious. So I think now they're pushing into sort of, almost into luxury brand.
so let's
territory.
just
Yes.
say it's a
Very
new.
luxury brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just say it's a new vehicle.
Or we can say it
How
was
would you-
Gloucester.
Yeah. How would you justify that new front end?
Yeah.
Were the interiors new, or did they? I think they blacked it out.
So
right?
they blacked it out, and we've seen this car before
Okay.
overseas. Overseas, it's called the D90, Maxus D90, which is what the Gloucester was called as well overseas. So we know it's got the same bones essentially. But what they're trying to do, I believe, is to move it up market, redo the interior, which is why they didn't let us see it, I believe. And when it comes out, it'll be interesting to see if they send it from MG Select as opposed to MG. I think they'll move it up to Select. And I think they're going to do the interior up a whole lot nicer just to justify
Absolutely.
that
And that will help
premium
them, put something that sells at a more regular pace
thing. Yeah.
into that showroom because having a
Non-electric.
showroom with all these really
Yeah.
expensive MGs
Right.
and nothing moving, then this is going to be a next
That's
situation.
Yeah.
That's true. So, so that's a wrap for this edition of Deep Drive. It's been a long episode. That's because we had to cover a lot of ground, a lot of brands, cars, and bikes this time. So, if you've not had enough though, and you want more of the Auto Expo, we've got detailed coverage. We've got individual videos on our Instagram, on YouTube itself, walkarounds of all of the models there. And we have also our website, autocarindia.com, again with all of the stories on each of the brands, each of the models, image galleries. So please head there, take a look around. And of course, don't forget, Deep Drive will be back at the same time, same place next Saturday, 11 a.m. here on YouTube and on Spotify and Apple in case you prefer to hear these podcasts. So thank you for watching.